one Sunday, I keep getting confused because I have so much to say. I mentioned to you just earlier that when I finally converted to Catholicism, I wrote a 37-page letter to my family. That didn't even begin to touch on all of the different issues, so I have so much to say, and it's confusing to keep it all straight. But if we go back to the issue of my experience at the church with Mary, that I sat through a sermon where the pastor reiterated all of those earlier demeaning comments about Mary. And that was the day I realized I needed to make a decision. And I delved into the earliest church fathers. I thought, if I read the earliest writings of the earliest fathers, St. Ignatius of Antioch, St. Clement of Rome, St. Justin Martyr, that if they were like our church, if we were really being the early church, then that would confirm me staying in Protestantism. But when you pick up, in fact, I had read very little of St. Ignatius of Antioch, who wrote somewhere around 100 to 107 AD, as he was being transported from Antioch to Rome to be executed. And he wrote 7 letters to different churches along the way. Reading that, and to find that all of Catholic teaching, in its core, is there. And that changed my life overnight. I was through maybe the first 2 letters of St. Ignatius of Antioch when I knew I have to become Catholic. Mm-hmm. And to think that as early as at his time, he was talking about those who were rejecting that the wine and the bread became the true body and blood of Christ. Or blood and body, I guess I should put it correctly. That changed everything for me. Literally overnight, I knew there was only one church. I then took the Catholic Catechism, and I went through and I put paper clips on all the sections that I wasn't familiar with. So,
I can imagine that book being real thick with all those paper clips.
Yeah. Well, not really, because coming up in the holiness movement, there was an awful lot that paralleled the Catholic Church. And as I read through the Catholic Church's teaching on the 10 Commandments, on salvation, on the need for confessing our sins, it all made perfect sense. And I think the most powerful thing was that every bit of it was biblical. And instead of what I came to realize we were doing as Protestants, where we would take one passage, and it didn't matter if this passage was apparently corrected or contradicted even by some other passage. If we liked it, that was our passage. Yeah, yeah. And what I found in the Catholic Church and in the Catechism was all the passages were dealt with, so that you developed a full concept. You know, we can give a message to our child, don't do this and don't do that. And what it really is, it's not that you can't do this because I said don't do that. It's that somewhere between those parameters is where the truth lies. And I think that's what the Catholic Church teaches, that we need to understand the full expression of Scripture. We can't proof text. We can't take this one passage that seems to say what we want it to say and run with it. We have to take the full passage. But that led me to realize, I think, what you've said in your own conversion story, that I discovered there were so many passages in Scripture that I didn't know. I didn't see. The meaning wasn't there for me. I couldn't even comprehend it. I think what's intriguing and what's really powerful for me is that the day I realized I needed to enter the Catholic Church, I woke up the next morning completely convinced of the sanctity of life. Prior to that, I'd been agnostic about abortion. I had seen it as a woman's issue, an unfortunate, sad circumstance, but certainly not my issue at all. And I woke up the next morning with just a sense. I remember sitting up on the edge of my bed and thinking, every baby matters. And that was a powerful experience for me. That mattered so much for me to have that experience. Something I really didn't spend much time thinking about.
Had you gotten that because you read it in the catechism and then agreed with it, or from within your own conscience was the Lord speaking to you, you think?
It was completely from within me. Yeah. And in the sense that I had not paid any attention to that.
Yeah. Okay.
And it just struck me as absolutely essential that I make a move in that direction. And since that time, I have participated in vigils outside of the abortion clinics, and see that as something I will continue to do because it's so important to me. What I think I came to realize was how solid the Catholic Church was in all of its teachings. I could accept every single thing of the material in the catechism that I was familiar with. And at that point, I felt like it was necessary that I accept by faith that if a church could be so correct, so comprehensive in understanding of all of this material that I was familiar with, then I, on faith, would accept the truth of these other things like purgatory that we tend to, as Protestants, completely ignore. And most hold to that idea that we never are made pure, that they sort of have bought into Luther's idea that we end up as manure heaps covered by the white snow of Christ in heaven. And I sort of picture Jesus sort of standing between the Father and us and hiding us from him, and dodging around to be sure the Father
not
never...
far from the way he's portrayed.
Yeah, and to realize that, no, the holiness movement that I was familiar with as a child, you had to grow in grace, is true. I think I've come to the awareness that many of the Protestant churches teach a truth, but they don't teach the whole truth. And that's what I think is terribly unfortunate, is that it can lead people astray. And I've seen that so greatly in my own practice, where I've seen people who've been led completely astray because they believe that they're saved once, safe and secure for eternity, and they don't have to matter about how they live their life.
Yeah, you were traditional.